In analyzing a problem, I identified two gaps, information gap and logical gap, that separate a problem from its solution. Now I want to show you the relationship between these two gaps. Look at this example where I try to answer the question/problem, is Peter moral? All men are mortal. Peter is a man, therefore Peter is immortal. As you can see, I came up with two factual statements. All men are mortal, and Peter is a man. Sound premises. All men are mortal, and Peter is a man. Before I say anything with these two statements, I have to determine whether they are true or sound. The first statement is sound because all men are liable or subject to death. History confirms this statement. The second statement is sound because I know Peter is a man. I've known him for many years. So I can safely say that these two premises are sound. Valid. All men are mortal. Peter is a man. Therefore Peter is mortal. But is this conclusion valid? Yes, because it flows logically from the two premises. Conclusion. The conclusion is a factual statement. Therefore, Peter is mortal. The conclusion has to be sound, that is true, because it flows from sound factual statements. It is impossible for the conclusion to be false if the premises are true. It is valid because it flows logically from the two premises. In short, here we have a conclusion that is both sound and valid. These are the two conditions for a deductive argument that a deductive argument must meet. Factual statements. We can make a second observation. Notice that the premises and conclusions are all factual statements. In other words, when the premises are factual statements, the conclusion must also be a factual statement. Sometimes writers fail to meet one or the other condition. Look at this example. Everyone who eats steak is a Canadian. John eats steak. Therefore, John is a Canadian, which is valid, but not sound or true. Valid. Everyone who eats steak is a Canadian. Premise 1 is false. John eats steak. Premise 2 is true statement. Therefore, John is a Canadian. Valid, but not sound or true. Is this a valid or sound argument? Let's apply the two conditions. First, is the argument valid? Yes, because the conclusion flows logically from the two premises. If the first premise is true, then John, who is a steak eater, must be a Canadian. True, valid. There are 32 books on the top shelf of the bookcase. There are 12 on the lower shelf of the bookcase. Therefore, there are 44 books in the bookcase. First, are the premises true? Let's assume that we can count the books on the top and bottom shelves and that we can confirm that there are 32 books on the top shelf and 12 books on the bottom shelf for a total of 44 books on the two shelves. In other words, the two shelves have a total of 44 books, which makes the two premises true. Second, is the argument valid? The premise says nothing about the number of books on the other shelves in the bookcase. There may be some or none. Hence, the conclusion does not flow logically from the premises. In other words, the argument is not valid. How is deductive reasoning applied in a text? What does it look like? When the premises are sound and the conclusion is valid, when the premises are sound and the conclusion is invalid, when the premises is false and the conclusion is valid. Let's address these questions in the following text. Mount Everest is known as the tallest mountain in the world. However, according to some geographers, Mauna Kea is the tallest mountain. Mount Everest is located on the Asian continent in the Himalaya mountain range. Its elevation is 29,028 feet above sea level. Mauna Kea, a dormant volcano, is located on the main island of Hawaii. Its height of 33,465 feet is greater than the height of Mount Everest. However, the base of Mauna Kea is on the floor of the Pacific Ocean, which is 18,000 feet below sea level. In other words, only 13,796 feet of the mountain stands above sea level. If the bases of both mountains were at sea level, Mauna Kea would be 4,400 feet taller. Hence, Mount Everest stands taller, but Mauna Kea is higher. However, since Mauna Kea stands on the floor of the Pacific Ocean, Mount Everest stands taller. Let's look at the following diagram. Mount Everest stands at sea level, is 29,028 feet tall. Mauna Kea stands 18,000 feet below sea level and 13,793 feet above sea level. Its total height is 13,465. Let's look at the following deductive argument in the paragraph. The premises are sound and the conclusion is valid. Premise 1, Mount Everest is 29,028 feet above sea level, which is true. Premise 2, Mauna Kea is 33,565 feet high, but only 13,796 feet above sea level, which is true. Therefore, Mount Everest is the tallest mountain, valid. Explanation. Based on the information in the paragraph, both premises are true. The conclusion has to be sound, true, because it flows from sound factual statements. It is impossible for the conclusion to be false if the premises are true. It is valid because it flows logically from the two premises. In short, here we have a conclusion that is both sound and valid. Paragraph analysis continued. The premises are sound and the conclusion is invalid. Premise 1. Mount Everest elevation level is 29,028 feet above sea level, which is true. Premise 2. Mauna Kea is 33,465 feet high, which is true. Therefore, Mauna Kea is the tallest mountain, invalid. Problem. Although the two premises are true, premise number 2 does not indicate the elevation level of Mauna Kea above sea level. Therefore, it cannot be determined from the two premises whether Mauna Kea is taller than Mount Everest. Hence, the conclusion is invalid. Paragraph analysis continued. A premise is false and the conclusion is valid. Mount Everest is 29,228 feet tall is true. Premise 2, Mauna Kea is 33,465 feet tall, which is false. Therefore, Mauna Kea is the tallest mountain, which is valid. Problem. Premise 2 is false because Mauna Kea sits on the floor of the Pacific Ocean, which is 18,000 feet below sea level. Only 13,796 feet of the mountain stands above sea level. Therefore, Mount Everest, which is 29,028 feet above sea level, is the tallest mountain. The paragraph points out that some geographers claim that Mauna Kea is the tallest mountain by maintaining that Mauna Kea is 33,465 feet tall. Back to the information and logical gap that separate the problem from its solution. Deductive reasoning applies two specific criteria to solve problems that involve an information gap and a logical gap. They are the premises sound or true? Is the argument valid? In summary, to solve problems that involve an information gap and logic gap, the information premises must be sound/true. The logical relationship between the two must be valid. At sponsorvillage.ca, go to Writing and to Deductive Reasoning. Read the essay and complete the template. Write an essay using correct deductive reasoning. After you are pleased with your essay, edit it for grammar to create a reader's draft. If you have any questions about the writing process, send them to askdrotto@sponsorvillage.ca. Enjoy your writing experience.